Let's start the event with our keynote speaker, Sundar Balasubramanian. To know more about Sundar, he's the VP and segment leader for Intuit, overseeing QuickBooks Desktop globally. He manages product management and design and SEG in Intuit India, fostering innovation and platform capabilities. With a diverse background spanning fintech, telco, and supply chain management, Sundar has led leadership role globally, including Lumita and British Telecom. He holds an MBA from INSEAD, an MS from U Maryland College Park, and BTech from IIT Chennai. Over to you, Sundar.
Thank you, Anirudh. Can everybody hear me? Good? All right. Good morning. I'm Sundar. As Anirudh said, that still stays the same. I'm from Intuit. I want to start with a quick introduction to Intuit and a bit about my role. I promise I'll keep it very short and get on with the rest of the talk, but I think this context will help you. Knowing a little bit more about Intuit will also help you the rest of the talk, right? So at Intuit, our mission is powering prosperity around the world. We serve more than 100 million customers, small businesses, consumers around the world. With our products, you may have heard some of this: Intuit QuickBooks, TurboTax, Credit Karma, and MailChimp. Hopefully, some of them you have used. I was just talking to a couple of you. At least some of these brands resonate with you, right? So through these products, we deliver three benefits. The first one is what we call more money. We want to put more money in the pockets of our customers, consumers, and small businesses. And secondly, no work. By no work, I mean saving time by eliminating work, all the drudgery that small businesses sometimes have to deal with, or even consumers in their personal life that have to deal with. We want to take that away so that they can focus on what they do best. And lastly, complete confidence, because we want to enable them to make financial decisions on a daily basis with complete confidence. So these are three customer benefits that we deliver with all our products, and these benefits are durable. They were the same the last 10 years ago. They will be the same 10 years from now, right? Technology, AI, GenAI, all of that can beyond, everything can come and go in between, but these benefits stay the same. In my role, I serve small businesses through our flagship product called Intuit QuickBooks. It's a accounting and business management software for all small businesses. We serve customers globally. I also serve, in addition, as a product management design leader for Intuit India. We are a community of more than 150 and counting 150 passionate product folks, many of them here, and distributed product managers and designers, right? So that's a bit about Intuit, and that's a bit about me. I thought this is helpful so that when I talk more about some of the stuff that we are doing as a company, you can relate to why we are doing what we're doing, right? So that's a bit of me. Today, I want to talk specifically around the evolution of AI from being a awe-inspiring tool behind the scenes to something that we believe will become a utility much like electricity and internet, right? And in the process, it will become a native part of all the products that we build in the future. And I'll also talk about our role as product folks in making this a reality, right? So that's what I want to spend my time today with. But I want to start with a personal story. Again, these slides are not meant to focus just for you to sort of relate a little bit, right? So I want to start with the personal story. This is a story of a coffee evening with my wife. Hold on, hang on. I will bring it back to AI in a second. Again, for context, she's an accountant. Just to be clear, just coincidence. You don't have to your spouse does not have to be an accountant to get hired at Intuit. There are many other reasons. Folks here will tell you, but that's not one of them. But just coincidence, right? And I may be stereotyping a little bit, but she gets more excited about numbers as much as I get excited about technology, right? But you could argue that probably helped our marriage of 19 years. That's 19 you see there. 20 this September, but I'm digressing. I'll come back to topic. It's not that I've tried talking to her about Apple Vision Pro. I would sit and watch the entire video when that's being launched. I've talked to her about drones because there are people flying drones within our community and we get into these situations. I've talked to her about Google Home in the past, Alexa. She could easily tune up, right? Much less if I talk to her about AI. It's going to be even harder to capture her imagination. Now, it's not that she's not consumed AI, right? Of course, this audience is a very biased audience, but you take the average person, they have consumed AI without necessarily knowing about it. The Netflix recommendations for watching what to watch over the weekend, to selecting what you want on Myntra, and more recently, I don't know if anybody's here from Swiggy or Blinkit, she was so surprised that Instamart, and she couldn't stop talking about Instamart. It's almost as if they know what we want before we know what we want, right? Especially on a Friday evening, right? So again, if anybody from Swiggy or Blinkit, huge fan at home, one of many millions who use your services. But again, all of these were instances of where she's consuming AI without really thinking about AI as a feature, right? It just happens to be so. Now I'll bring you back to the coffee. This is about, I don't know, a few weeks ago. Benefits of working from home when you can actually have coffee in the evening at 4 o'clock with your spouse. And again, for context, she had asked me about ChatGPT. I told her about what it is, because she'd heard it from folks even in her company. She's like, how do I get there? I'd sent her the WhatsApp, the URL. I told her you can just use your Google ID. That's it. And I thought that was the end of the conversation. But on this evening, she was actually talking to me, gushing about ChatGPT because she's actually put it to use. That was like, whoa. She had actually tried a real work situation where the responses that she got from ChatGPT were so much more comprehensive. It pretty much laid out an approach on what she should do in the current given situation, with deep links into what next, which form to fill, government agencies, all of that. Pretty much developed her plan, and that she could hand over to a team for execution. Something that would have taken her weeks, days and weeks from her consulting partner. Again, I'm hoping there's no one from Big 3, Big 4 here. But one of the things that she was wondering is, how are they going to survive this revolution? Because this is an answer I would have taken weeks, and I'm getting it in minutes, right? And to the level of fidelity that she could approve. So this is the very first time in our 19 years that we have had a technology conversation over coffee, right? So clearly, oops, I lost. Can you hear me still? Yeah. Clearly, we are in the hype cycle for AI. AI has moved from being this behind the scenes, awe-inspiring tool to engagement at scale. Engagement not just from people like us, we are all the conditioned audience, engagement from everybody else who are not necessarily tech geeks, right? So then it started, that moment really started, made me thinking, how did we get here? What happened? What's that pivotal moment that has actually got someone like my wife having this discussion about technology, much less AI? And how do where does it take us from here on, right? So I believe there are two pieces to it. Like Neha, a colleague of mine who, by the way, helped put all this together. She and we were brainstorming, like, let's unpack this. What has happened that's different this time, right? So there are two, I believe there are two pieces to it. One is looking at the evolution of computing and AI on one end. The other is evolution of user interaction and interfaces on the other, right? And it's a combination of evolution in both of these that has led to this moment when it's becoming more mainstream. So I'm going to spend a few minutes going into each of them for a second, right? So first one, as you see, Eliza. If anybody can recognize and even know Eliza, your secret is fine, safe with us. You don't have to declare, because it was launched in 1966, right? So this is the first instance of a human-computer interaction in an interactive mode, aka chatbot, as we would probably call it today, right? But this is in 1966. The one on the right is, if you've seen Imitation Game, the movie, this is the code-breaking machine developed during the World War, right? A lot of the AI models, tech, was actually developed during Second World War. So it's not new. AI is not new. It's been there for a very long time. In fact, somebody I met yesterday said this, that it used to be called statistics in his time. He is a math PhD. It's now called AI. So it's not necessarily new. What has happened is that it has evolved tremendously to a place where it's actually even better than the human. I'll give you an example. So we've been using AI for more than 5 years now at Intuit. And one of the use cases is in fraud detection. So we have a team that looks at, if you're, let's say, applying for, let's say, in the Indian example, let's say Razorpay, you want to create an account. They're going to go through a lot of information about you, validate you are really who you are, etc., right? So, and this team actually make sure that there's no fraud. They look at a lot of artifacts like your driving license, your social presence, your bank account, and then say you are who you claim to be. So they gave us this game. They devised this game to get people like us who are not close to this on a daily basis to guess, can you predict which is real, which is fake? We couldn't. We just could not. They looked so convincingly. The driving licenses are so pixel perfect. Even if you Google and look for comparisons, etc., you just couldn't. So much so that even trained agents apparently sometimes miss it, but AI does not. And this is like more than 5 years ago, right? It can look for patterns, it can look for anti-patterns to detect why. And it's fascinating to understand what it picked and we couldn't. And since then, we have continued to invest. In fact, as of today, we have more than 800 million customer interactions every year, and more than 65 billion predictions that happen, and more than 2 million models that get refreshed daily. So we've come a long way since then, but some of these early use cases are still representative, and therefore, AI is not new. It's not new for Intuit, it's not new for anybody. On the other hand, if you look at the user interaction interfaces, Jacob Nielsen, I don't know if anybody recognizes the name, had written this article recently, which actually he talks about the evolution of interfaces as well. It started with you issuing instructions, batch instructions to a machine, like the code breaking machine that you saw earlier. You're telling what to do. And then came modern UI. The advent of modern UI was, but still the premise is that you, the user, know what to do and what instructions to give, and you are telling at any point in time what next, what next, what next. It's just that you have a better way to do that. And there's a better way to enter information. And therefore you had technology like, if you can call innovation now, but it was innovation back then, which is pointing devices, touch, gesture, voice being more reasoned. These are all ways and mechanisms to reduce the barriers of communication, but the premise is still you are telling the system what to do. But now we do know that if I look at our small business customers, in many instances, they don't know what question to even ask. They're expecting them to carry on this conversation is very hard. In fact, hands up if anybody has built dashboards and insights. Honestly, good. All you honest people. And when you build a dashboard, you hope that people come and use it and they understand what to do with it. But more often than not, they just don't know what. There's a bunch of numbers, bunch of charts. Where do I start? And if you're a small business, that's not what your primary job is. Your primary job is doing everything else, and you come to the computer for a very quick job, and you're not going to stare at a dashboard trying to figure out what to do, right? So you need to even tell the customer where to start. But that's not what the existing UI paradigms are. So that's the sort of evolution in terms of UI interface, right? So Gen AI, I think one quick thing is, in all of this, what you have not been able to do is create along and partner with the machine to create. It's always been more instruction led, right? Gen AI changes this paradigm. It flips it on its head. This, any experts on parametric design? Good, I can say whatever. Oh, there you go. I have to be honest now. So this is a few design examples of from Zaha Hadid, who was a renowned architect and pioneer in parametric design. Parametric design, by the way, is where the outcome of the design is actually a outcome of algorithms, right? I don't know anything about parametric design. In fact, Neha introduced me to it. But I could use a model that is trained on a lot of these designs to actually create one which even customized to my needs. I could do that today. I'm co-creating with the system and coming up with an outcome that is actually what I want. So this is fundamental, right? Now I'm finally not just telling the system, do what I say, do what I want. And I can actually work with the system to come up with what I want. And this is very exciting because this opens up opportunities for our customers and start solving problems that we could not in the past, right? So that's amazing. And a few examples, right? This is one from, not the exact example, but more figurative example from Intuit MailChimp. We launched a capability a few months ago where you can point MailChimp to a website of your business, and it can create everything else for you. And in fact, there's a video outside in the hallway. You'll probably see more of it. You can create your brand assets. You can create a marketing campaign. It can help you segment your customers. It can even create content copy for each segment by channel, one for Instagram, one for X, formerly known as Twitter. You can do all of that just looking at a website. It may not get it 100% right, and that's why human is super important in all of this. There's no, at least for now, human is still important. So you can tweak, you can adjust, but it gets you started 80% of the way in a few seconds. So and I may sound repetitive, but I think the combination of the AI's ability to create something and the user interaction paradigm where we can, as a user, co-create with the machine, this is very pivotal in terms of bringing AI to the mainstream and taking it from what was an awe-inspiring thing to engagement at scale, right? So, where are we headed? Before don't look at that for a second, but where are we headed? I believe, AI will become a utility, much like I said, internet and electricity. Now, I'm assuming no one here is pre-electricity, although living in Bangalore, I'm sure you're made to feel how that feels like on a daily basis. But some of you are probably pre-internet, right? Including myself. You can kind of imagine what life without internet looks like. And I sure as hell, if you keep aside detox weekend, that's all nice, but sure as hell, I don't want to go back to life without internet, right? AI will be one such. It will become just a native part of everything we do, everything we build. And here's an example with Intuit QuickBooks. We are using AI in every facet of a business. For instance, getting customers. One of the first and biggest problems for a small business is getting customers and retaining them. The Intuit MailChimp example, in fact, a lot of people have even asked me this question, why did Intuit acquire MailChimp? One of the biggest problems for a small business is getting customers, and MailChimp helps you do that, and do that a lot better now with GenAI. Second, we help them get paid. All the fraud example that I talked about. A lot of small businesses are very nervous accepting credit cards because they don't want to deal with this whole chargeback and what if there's a fraud and all of that, right? We put AI to ensure that customers get paid, and we also secure them with, again, AI-based models where we can even pay them upfront even before the money actually comes from the customer. So if you have an invoice, we pay you up, get paid upfront, and we'll ensure we get it because we have underwritten the customer at the other end of the equation. All of that is possible because of AI. We also use AI to help customers pay their employees and stay compliant. One of the recent applications of AI was, if you're a small business, you get a tax resolution notice from IRS. That's the most nerve-wracking thing that you can have, because it can go from anywhere between a few hundreds to a few thousands, and you wipe out your month, right? We now use AI to be able to automatically even resolve tax notices and get you past those bottlenecks. So these are just 3 examples, but there are so many more. And that's why I think, like I said earlier, we have more than 800 million customer interactions happening on a daily basis, more than 2 million AI models being refreshed daily. And it's becoming a part of everything we do. So that's where we are, but where are we headed? And it's, how do we get there, right? How do we get to a place where AI becomes utility? It's not going to be a linear path. It's going to be like any other creative exercise, like any other foundational technology that we are in. We are going to iterate and learn a lot. I'll show the Intuit Assist video in a second. We were launched a few months ago. We have learned heck of a lot in the last few months on a daily basis to where we are right now. There's a lot happening even with LLMs. There are generic LLMs to more domain-specific LLMs. It's in fact impossible almost to keep track of all the LLMs that are being launched. And we at Intuit, we have built our own foundational LLM, while we also leverage a ChatGPT or a Gemini, etc. Right? And that's evolution happening. And because we know that you need a combination of knowing everything in the universe, but also knowing very specifically in your domain. In our case, the proprietary data we have from our customers. There's a lot of work also happening in terms of how do you interact with LLMs, where you have to be very careful in the prompts. But to me, that's just not acceptable. I mean, because it again puts the onus back on me as a user in coming up with the right question so that I get good answers. That's just not acceptable. And it has to go back to a place where you guide me as a system and asking me better questions, and then go back and also answer those questions. In fact, this is happening already. There are some early shoots in terms of LLMs being able to even guide you through that process. A lot happening in this space. What's happening on the UI side, right? This is where I believe lot to be desired, lot to be figured out, lot to be innovated. And hence, it's beyond AI. The AI is probably, any data scientist don't kill me for this. AI is probably the easier part of it. Figuring this piece is the harder piece. Again, just a quick recap, right? We started with learning the computer's language, telling it what to do with instructions, to then advent of UI. All of that has reduced barriers of communication, reduced the degrees of separation, but we're still limited by it. And then came AI, where you can co-create. But then almost everybody, including Intuit, we all started with some form of a chat interface, a Q&A interface. That's where we are. That's where we started. I'm not going to stand here and say I know where it will end, because I would be one of the many guesses that are out there. But I can confidently say that it has to be a lot better than what we have today. And I think that's where this team here, that's the challenge for all of us in understanding, have a very deep understanding, dig deep to figure out how we leverage Gen AI and AI, traditional or Gen AI for that matter, in creating products of the future that can take AI from being auto engagement to becoming a utility. And stay focused on the customer problem, because the problems are irrespective of what AI or Gen AI is. And one of the things that we say at Intuit is fall in love with the problem, not the solution. And this is very, very, very true now. And we are doing that. We are actually eating our own dog food, where as we are innovating on Intuit Assist, we are going back to what problem are we solving? Are these problems worth solving? It's very easy to get attracted to going and, hey, let's go solve a problem. Are these problems worth solving? And how do you solve it in a way that's actually better than without AI? I think that's the challenge for this group. But there's a lot to be figured out in the future, but I just want to take a moment and look at where we are, right? We have come a long way, and I think we need to celebrate that as well. So I want to leave you with a video of Intuit Assist. This was launched a few months ago. The context for that is, as a company, we laid out this vision almost 5 years ago of an AI-driven expert platform. We believed and we still believe that AI was fundamental and become a utility. So therefore, we had made the investments way back when in creating, not with AI models, but with the data infrastructure. Because if you don't have the data infrastructure, your answers are going to be just as good as ChatGPT or Gemini. In fact, I was saying this to someone else. One of the first things that some of customers do when they interact with Intuit Assist is compare answers that we give with ChatGPT. And if you're going to give the same answer, they may as well go there. And why would they expect you to know the customer even better, right? So we are learning a lot. But having said that, I think this is our first shot at creating a digital assistant that can give you intelligent and personalized recommendations.